So after a couple months, my long play controller finally arrived. So was it worth the wait? Is it really much better than the originals? Well, let's test it out and see what we find. So most Intellivision fans tolerated these things. I didn't mind them. I didn't really like the orientation. And there weren't many options until now. Now we have the long play disc controller. All the way from France, I believe, Cote Gamers. I'll put the link in the description below for everything. Comes with a nice color manual. Actually, it has way more information than I even cared to read about, but it was pretty cool. It shows you how it was made, and it's pretty interesting. Now, if you own an Intellivision 1, like this model, or an Intellivision 3, you're going to need a long play adapter. And I'll put a link to this below as well. Now, I've already installed it, but and I was gonna make the video of installing it as well, but there's already a really good video out there. Mike's Gaming Gala did a nice video of installing the adapter. It's not difficult. It comes with instructions. The instructions are okay, but there's not much to it. You simply remove the 6 screws from the back side. The shell comes off. You'll see a black plastic, I'm not sure what it is. It's just a black plastic support, I guess. It also has 6 Phillips screws. You remove that. Once you remove that, the CPU inside you can lift out, and that's how you get to the controllers where they hook up, and that's where you hook the adapter up to. And the nice thing, once you get the adapter hooked up and put everything back together, you have not only the original controllers still hooked up from the inside, but you have your new controller. I only have one, but the adapter sits right here on top. Can't see it because of this vent here, but you've got player 1 coming from the left side, plugs in 9-pin, and if you have a second controller, player 2 goes right there. So you can use 2 controllers, and you can have 4 controllers hooked up at one time and use them simultaneously. Still use the old controllers and the new controller all at the same time. So unfortunately, what I did find is that my controller, from my long play controller, there's some of the number buttons are not working. So I found out real quickly trying to play Night Stalker. Get my gun, and as you can see, I can shoot right, I can shoot up, I can shoot down, but when I go to shoot left, the 4 button, instead of shooting it, it runs to the right. So I have a problem right off the bat, unfortunately. As you can see, I've got the thumb stick inserted in here. This thing comes with the regular disc, a thumbstick, which I prefer, and a 4-way thumb pad. It's great for your 4-way games. The disc, probably the best place for the disc is in the trash. I can't see anybody enjoying the disc. If you want to use the disc, I would go back to the original controllers. This disc is just, the tolerances are not great. Instead of being really smooth, it's really choppy. You'll just have to experience it for yourself. But the disc, in my opinion, is worthless. I prefer the thumbstick. And it's very easy to change these out. So in the back, you can see there's just 4 screws, 4 Phillips screws. Simply remove the 4 Phillips screws. And here's an important tip, and I found out the hard way. The number buttons, the action buttons, they're all loose inside. So as soon as you take this thing apart, everything's on the floor. So if you want to switch out your controller, your disc controller, you simply keep it this way. Remove your 4 screws, lift the brown cover off, keep it this way so that all those buttons stay in place. Simply pop your disc controller out and replace it with one of these. It's nice and simple. But do not turn it over, or you're going to have all these on the floor and you're going to be putting a puzzle back together. So let's continue the testing part. Like I said, I prefer the thumbstick right away. I tried the disc for about 5 minutes and realized that was just trash. I hate to be so harsh, but if anybody uses the disc in the long play controller and you like it, please let me know what I'm missing. And like I said, this, if I was playing a bunch of 4-way games, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, those type of games where you're just left, right, up, down, this would be great as well. But I think most people will probably go with the thumbstick. It's pretty comfortable. I like the orientation. And I think it would work good for this particular game, Night Stalker, if I had the buttons working properly, unfortunately. Night Stalker was one of my favorites, and I was excited to play this with the new long play controller, but unfortunately I cannot shoot left. The 4 button, instead of shooting left, it takes me to the right, which is disappointing, but as far as the other controls, the controls pretty good. The tolerances in this thing are not great. It's a little noisy to play. It's not super smooth, but it's not really a problem unless you're using this worthless disc. So right off the bat, I'm disappointed I have at least one numeric button not working properly. But everything else works pretty good. I would definitely play Night Stalker with this controller versus the originals if I had my buttons working so I could shoot. But that's where I'm at with that. But with Night Stalker, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Again, thumbstick is a must. All right, we're going to go on to try another game here. All right, so here's Donkey Kong. Now, if I was going to play a lot of Donkey Kong, I would probably switch to the 4-way. But I think the thumb disc will work just fine. Let's see. 1 or 2 players. what's going on. And so it looks like I found another button that is not working properly. The 1. That's what I said before. It's nice to be able to have the original controllers and the new controller all hooked up at the same time with the adapter. Like I said, this is a must if you have an Intellivision 1 or an Intellivision 3. If you have the white Intellivision, the Intellivision 2, you don't need the adapter because the original controllers just unplug and plug in right from the outside, which is kind of nice. But so it looks like I don't have use of my 1 and 4 button, unfortunately. So I can go back to the original. Yep. Okay. Okay, so here's Donkey Kong. Again, if my controller was working properly, I think it would be just fine. Like I said, I would probably go back to the four-way thumb pad for this game, but this works just fine. Again, I like this controller versus the original in a lot of ways. Again, I think most everybody that orders one of these is going to get their numeric pad working properly. There's something going on with mine. I'm going to have to contact them, and hopefully they can take care of me. But you know, so far I think it is a good option over the originals. Now again, if you're going to play a game that you prefer the disc, then you're going to want to use the original controllers. The disc on the original compared to the disc on the long play, there's no comparison. Like I said, this will probably just go in the trash. It's just worthless. But I think Donkey Kong would be best with the 4-way, but it works good with the thumbstick as well. So I like the orientation versus the horizontal versus the vertical. But I just wish my number pad worked. So let's go on. Let's try another game. All right, so here's Qbert. Now, if you're familiar with Qbert, you know that their controls are a little awkward. Everything is pretty much diagonal. Again, the thumbstick seems to be the way to go here. Controls pretty good. I've actually played Qbert with the original controls, and it works pretty good with the disc, with the original disc. I don't know if you can hear the controller as I'm using it. It's a little noisy. Like I said, the tolerances here are not great, but they don't bother me too much. But again, I like the orientation better than the original, and it works pretty good with Qbert. Qbert's kind of a difficult game to control anyway, so. But yeah, not bad so far. See what we can look at here next. Now here's a great homebrew game. If you have an Intellivision, you've got to own this. The Pandora Incident. It's really good. One thing I forgot to mention is the long play does accommodate your overlays, so you can still use your overlays. It doesn't seem to go down. There it goes. So you can still use your overlays. But we're going to try Pandora Incident here, just showing you the overlays do work with this new controller. Okay, so the Pandora Incident. Again, my #1 button is not working, so I have to go to the original, start. I think my 2 button is working. I'll say no. And then you have to go through the intro, turn it up a little bit. This is a really good game. I assume the long play controller will play just fine with this game. This is get the sound going. Yeah, I can see this game working just fine with the long play. Probably would work just fine with the original as well. There's not a lot of complicated movements to this game, but yeah, this game should work just fine with. And I think you'll find that, you know, some games you might prefer the original controllers, but for me, I really like the orientation. You know, more like a Nintendo controller. I like the buttons here instead of here. I never liked. To me, they were a little awkward. They got a little cumbersome and tiresome after playing a game for a long time. The disc was great though for a lot of games when you got used to it. Keypad was great. It's the map, but I think I would prefer the long play controller for most games once I get all my keypad working. I think it would be the way to go. I'm sure there's going to be some games that you'll want to play use the original controllers, but I think overall the long play controller is pretty good. My biggest complaints, besides, I know I'll get this fixed, and most people are not going to get one that has this problem with the number pad, I don't think. But I would say my biggest complaint is just it's just a little noisy to use. I don't know if you can hear it. It's not real smooth. It's nothing that bothers me too much. And the tolerances are kind of weird, but it doesn't really affect the controller, how it operates. So I wouldn't say too much about that. So would I recommend this? Yeah, I would. I would for the most part. Like I said, if you love the disc, and that's what you want to use 90% of the time, then this probably won't be the way to go because this disc is just not good. But I love the option of having the thumb. I think this is much more comfortable for most games. The thumb disc and the 4-way games work great with this. It only takes about 30 seconds to change, so 4 screws, keep it upside down, pop it out, pop the new one in, and back together, you're ready to go. So yes, overall I'd recommend the long play controller. And don't forget the adapter. If you have an Intellivision 1 or Intellivision 3, if you have the white Intellivision 2, you don't need the adapter. So hopefully hopefully this video was informative, and if you have one of these controllers, please let me know what you think. I'd like to know what you think about this controller and the disc and what you prefer. All right, thanks again for watching.